What is going on, everybody? You're welcome back to episode I think 31 now of the From the Green Room, and my guest tonight is Alex Poe of the Hate Club. How you doing, Alex?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me today.
No problem. Thanks for stopping by the Green Room, man. End of September, you guys dropped the music video for the track "Cursed," which is the first off your upcoming debut LP, and the
Yeah.
video features you performing in your native Ukraine. Tell us about that track.
Um, Quick remark. Yeah, a lot of people say guys, but as of now, the Hate Club is me. But I do have like session musicians. Some of my friends that I
Gotcha.
actually met in Midwest when I toured there.
Okay.
So they actually were featured in that music video, and hopefully they're gonna join me also on the tour.
Cool.
And that music video was shot here in LA. And yeah, that was the first track on the of the upcoming album, and I think that also like cemented the entire idea of just the direction behind the album, which I don't have the title for just yet, but I have the overall sentiment where I'm going with it. And I think it's just been like a crazy year with everything that's going on in the world. And I realized that like oftentimes I find myself just reacting on an impulse
Hmm.
to things, and then the song and the entire theme of the album is based around that, just like kind of like primordial response to everything, like when you don't have time to think, to react, which something sometimes can be not such a good thing, work towards your disadvantage. But
Right.
yeah.
So in the press release, it said that it was you performed that song. The video has shots of you performing in Ukraine, so that's not what it was.
No, I guess I'm
I
surprised
don't
that
know.
it
That's
said
what it
that.
said in
Yeah.
the press release. I swear it said that. That's
I'm
why I
gonna
put that
talk
in my notes. I'm like,
I'm gonna talk to my publicist about that. It was shot in a warehouse in LA.
I'm like,
There's nothing as quite romantic
I was like,
as,
that's pretty cool.
as you thought. Yeah, yeah. No,
um,
it was shot here, like in LA, where I'm currently based in. Um, it's funny that actually, okay, but there is so there's this Ukrainian band Ginger, right?
yeah.
And their singer, got her name, but she did a feature song with another band, which was shot at the same warehouse,
Okay.
like literally
Yeah.
a month or two before we shot there. And I was like, God damn it!
I've
Like,
seen
my
Ginger
God,
one time. I think her name's Tatiana, isn't it, or something?
probably, but I
Yeah.
have no idea.
But yeah. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys are working on your debut LP. When can we expect that to drop? I say you
Um,
guys. I'm sorry. You are working on your
yeah,
debut
I
LP.
know. I'm like, no, there's a team of people that help with other things, but I'm like producing everything and
Okay.
like recording, writing. I should finish the album. I have half of it written right now, and I should finish it by the end of this month. And the release probably going to be in February.
Okay.
Like, just 'cause it doesn't make sense to release anything earlier.
Right.
January is everyone is asleep, and hopefully that's when and the guys and musicians are gonna go on tour around that same time, like end of February or March, to support that. And I'm excited. It's gonna be a debut album, and before that I was releasing EPs mainly.
Yeah.
And man, it's hard. Like I feel like if you want to put like a good album, there's so many things that come into play. I guess maybe for some other people, for bands or like full-fledged bands, it happens like naturally, when people are responsible for their like instruments
Right.
and have the sound consistent in their head. But when you're writing it yourself, it's like there are so many things that you can do, especially with like producing it yourself. You can go back and change things up, and then just staying with a consistent sound. And even before you get to that point, figuring out what that consistent sound for you, for the band that represents the band is. So that's been like a big challenge, um, personally. However, I think I've overcome that and figured out the direction I want to take this. Because like oftentimes, like the first album, it is important because that's what's gonna establish the sound,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always hear bands where I've heard it, couple times. The first album's always the best, and then the second one's kind of
I agree with
slower, and then
that. But like most of my favorite albums, do you mind if I smoke?
no, go ahead.
It's a cigarette, but like I don't do that. Most of my favorite albums by like pretty much any band out there are like their debut albums.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like Nine Inch Nails. Well, with the exception like Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson, like for me, is gonna be like the Antichrist Superstar. But then like Rammstein,
Oh yeah.
like Nine Inch Nails. I don't know, like even Led Zeppelin, if we go like gonna go like back down, like out of my like favorite bands. Like I always loved like the first album, and I was listening to like a lot of like Prodigy recently, just a bunch of like electronic too. Like their first album is like very strong because you can feel like that um raw energy, and also
Hmm.
the experimentation phase towards, well, later on, um they may slow down, but they also kind of figure things out, and you cannot hear that you hear more confidence, which can be great or bad thing, but also there it can kind of anxiety also if
Yeah.
you're making things right. That's what I think I'm going through personally right now, and that I've made a conscious decision to kind of retain that. I don't know how successful I'm going to be at that, but I want to keep doing that because there's something to it.
Right. So as the Hate Club's, obviously fully independent. You do all your own producing and stuff like that. Is there more pressure on you to make it almost? I guess one could be like a perfectionist if you're doing all of it, right? Like, do you
Mm.
have to? Are you? They always say that we're our own worst critics.
Yeah.
And do you find yourself like going back and trying to change a lot of it, or
Not anymore. Right now, it's more about like sitting down and finishing it. But I've struggled that, especially with the earlier ZPs, and like changing a lot. Like right now, um, I've determined on the things that I want to be there, and I know how to achieve those.
Mhm.
Whether it is like the kind of guitars, like I'm actually something I'm super proud of, and I wanted to talk more about, but like I've been working um like on some guitar recording techniques, and
Mhm.
like how I layer guitars, and there's something that I've achieved with certain layering that I'm excited to, like, that people are gonna hear. I
Right.
think makes the guitar sound fat. So once I think like once you figure it out, to answer your question, once you figure it out like where you want to take it, and if you can actually manifest that um practically physically, I don't know,
Mhm.
physical realm, then it becomes easier. But yeah, the doubts are always there, especially in the past. But I think the more you know what you do, and if you have maybe enough like um I don't know, you spend
Right.
time doing what you do, and it gets easier, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, like kind of like, I don't know if that's jumping to the next subject. I think like one of the guys from like Slipknot recently, the clown, I think he said that they are considering not doing albums anymore because it's the single era.
Yeah.
And like I personally hate it, like, which I love Slipknot person like as a
Right.
band, but I hate that statement because I feel like a lot of the things are done right now because of like what the industry dictates, or what like the social media dictates, and like you gotta do this because that's what
Mhm.
is required right now, or that's like the trend, and I absolutely fucking hate it.
Right.
And like I think this industry never thrived on those things. It thrived on things that like go against. And actually, by releasing singles, you're most likely that's the kind of mentality that I used to have.
Mhm.
Because and at the time I was chasing also whatever was hyped up at the moment, sound, because like I was also producing like electronic music for a while, like dubstep and like house and like, drum
Right.
and bass, everything. which helped me like learn like the production techniques and sound design and whatnot. But like, and I remember how I was like, okay, this guy made it big, or like this training right now, I'm gonna do that. And that's what I feel like the demise of pursuing just the singles. You know, albums I think are a statement, and that's where you really think a lot of details through. And if you have something to say, maybe you don't, but like it's a body of work, I think worth more praise than something like releasing a single.
Right. I feel like that every band that I've interviewed, like that's what they're doing is singles. You know, they're really because it mainly mainly because of the way things are going in the world, and it's cheaper to just do singles, and it's more cost efficient, and they have to
So
put their time in and money into one thing,
yeah,
and and I get it, but like you
yeah.
said, albums are I used to buy a whole CD and listen to it, even if I originally only liked only knew one or two songs. I would try to listen to the whole thing, and
Yeah, like every note you would know, like every note, like wait, this moment is coming. You know, like that's
yeah,
what I want. The kind of music I want to create. That, or also when you go back to listening to your music, you're like, wait a minute, there's this cool moment, you know, that I did or something, and like I don't want to abandon that. I think that's
right,
like the most magical thing ever, and it's just a bigger statement. And for me personally, would tell like if an artist did something like that, that they thought those through, because you have to
oh yeah,
think those things through, like the songs and like why, what are you like. You can kind of get away like doing every song on different, on like even on the same subject, because they're not part of a coherent catalog. But if you're releasing a catalog and you're working on it consistently at a time, right? Then the thought process in your head, well, I already did this. I and and that's when the moment comes in, like kind of in your creative process, when you're like, well, am I gonna cheat right now and do sing about the same thing, write the lyrics about the same thing, or I'm actually gonna go suffer through this, because I'm dealing with that like a lot. I'm like, okay, well, I sang about this subject. What else can I do like creatively?
right.
Just bought like I'm like I have, because I was like facing like a writer's block until I
Oh yeah,
started, and I bought like two books of like just poetry, like European poetry,
right,
and I think it's European poetry. Yeah, because I was like just like, okay, I need like more ideas, and because I was like, I already did certain songs about certain subjects, and I'm like, okay, I need more words, more ideas, more
yeah.
subjects to talk about.
I go through that block, that creative block sometimes too. You mentioned you're going on a tour in 2023. Is that going to be a North American tour, or
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
going to be
it's gonna
big?
be. Well, I do not know
Okay,
yet, because nothing is booked yet. Like
I
it's
gotcha.
there are some conversation going, but nothing is like set in stone. So I think the announcement is going to be closer to the release of the album, which is going to be in
Okay,
February.
cool. I'll have to
Right
keep an
now
eye out
they're
for that.
just something. Yeah, huh?
I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Maybe it'll roll through here, and I know there's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
bands that
I'm
come.
definitely, I'm 100% going to Midwest. I played there. I went there on tour like twice before, like
Mhm.
earlier in the career of the Hate Club, and that's where I have, I think, like the most like dedicated fans, and also
Yeah,
like, yeah, no, for metal, that's like absolutely metal industrial. That's the best area like in the United States. I think like,
yeah. There's a lot of dark metal, industrial
yeah, like a
fans
lot
in
of
this
punk
area.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, where can we find the Hate Club's music, and what's going on with you? Like where you're going to be, and what's new with you? Where can we find all that information?
Google. Obviously Google, and then on all social media, it's Stay Hey Club. I was actually lucky to secure that tag. Any social media, it's gonna be the Hey Club, and what's going on right now. Actually, there are a few interesting things going on, and I was thinking about our interview like earlier today. I was like walking outside, like so. I guess you're gonna be the first one to find out. I'm releasing an ebook called the Manual of the Metalhead. I
Okay.
haven't like made a post about it just yet. So it's essentially, and it's a bit of like satire and comedic, like ebook about just certain cliches and certain things that are true and not so true about just the metalhead community.
Hmm.
And I haven't even posted about that, but like I have it done already. So I'm doing that. Then I'm also releasing a new music video the 7th of December.
Okay.
I don't know if you check, like, so there's this animated music video that I've done with one guy. I think he was also from Midwest. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, like Evan Streep, and he's an animator, right? So he does like
Yeah.
cartoons. And at the time before that, I was watching a bunch of like Metalocalypse, and obviously that was like huge inspiration. And we did that music video, which went like pretty well. You know, we're gonna talk statistics and like numbers and whatnot. So, because like so the story was based on like the actual 3 real fans and how they're like traveling to meet their maker. Guess who that is? And so we did a second music video, like an animated music video, like part two with the same animator,
Gotcha.
which is coming out December 7th, a little bit less than a month. So that, and then working a new music video, finishing this album, and preparing for the tour for 2023.
Awesome, man. Can't wait to hear more from you and see what's coming for you in the future. Again, you guys are watching from the green room. My guest tonight was Alex Poe of the Hate Club, and
Hey,
find the Hate Club's music and find out what's going on with Alex and the Hate Club on all social media platforms. And as usual, all that stuff will be in the description in the video. And Alex, thanks so much again for joining me in the green room, and let's chat again soon, man.
thanks for having me, man. Yeah, let me know when this good video goes live, because like I would love to
Yep, I'll send it to you.
stuff. Yeah,
Yep,
awesome, man. Thanks. You have a good day. Okay.
you too. I'll talk to you later.